Hello, paisanos. What's going on? It's episode 3 of motherfucking Ricksty Minutes with best guy ever and Digibro.
I don't give a fuck, bitch.
Yeah, that's my guy. And all right, everybody, it's this episode that's gotten a lot of publicity, a lot of dank memes coming out of the woodwork for this one. Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick, everybody.
Fucking Rick. What were they thinking? Genius.
Madmen.
Genius is what they were thinking.
How high do you even have to be to come up with Pickle Rick? It's absolutely absurd. So let's talk about the premise about Pickle Rick. All right, they literally just came up with, like, let's make Rick a pickle, and then they made an episode about it. And it's great because these people are good writers, and they don't fuck up. And everything is perfect.
I think with this episode, what they were going for is because I feel like the show has gotten really into the habit of trying to fuck with the viewers' expectations, right? Like, I think they seem to have a firm grasp on like what people think Rick and Morty is, and like how they can fuck with you in that. So with Pickle Rick, like, they wanted you to be deeply concerned about this. Like,
no doubt.
This seems like a stupid meme, that this seems completely retarded. Why is Rick a fucking pickle? Like, the way that Morty reacts to him at the start of the episode is just like, what? You know, like, why would you do this? This is a stupid idea. Like, everyone, like, because I can tell, I can just see Justin Roiland walking into the room and going, Pickle Rick! We're going to make him a pickle. Rick's going to be a pickle. And everyone's like, no, that's stupid. He's like, Pickle Rick. And then they had to do it. You know?
I've no doubt that's what went down.
I have no doubt either.
But it's just great. And like, I feel like that's exactly what they're going for. Everyone in the episode is reacting to this with exactly like the dry, exasperation that you would expect in a situation like this. And then it's a fucking great episode anyway. So
I
it's
think
making the exact point.
We can even read in, like, Rick himself says, he says this ironically because he doesn't actually mean it. But he says, I did this to challenge myself, to see if I could turn myself back. And I feel like the writers did this to challenge themselves of like, okay, let's take one of the stupidest ideas that Roiland's ever shouted at the top of his lungs while walking into the room and see if we can actually make that a cool episode. And they did. They succeeded. It's great.
That's interesting that you frame it as a challenge, because I think of it more as just like an expression of just like how superior the people making this show are compared to the rest of the landscape. Because like, you can have like a good premise, you can go on and you can have yourself a good premise, but if your writers are shit, if like the team doesn't have its act together, it can easily be garbage. There's so many things you can fuck up. These people, they simply know what the fuck to do to make a good show, and there's almost no premise that they can fuck up if they put the effort in, which they clearly did here. And it was great. It's a great episode.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can watch the train of thought unfolding as this goes on, of like, okay, Rick's a pickle, and there's literally no one's around to do anything about it. What is like the natural course of events that's going to happen? Like, something has to get him off the desk, a cat will come in, something's going to have to get him off the porch, a rain's going to come in. Well, if it rains, he's going to fall down the drain. Well, if he goes down the drain, what's going to be down there? Cockroaches. What can we do with those? And then from there, it's just like building up this, it's like Spore almost, Like,
it is just like Spore, yeah. I mean, what I loved about this episode was, and Rick and this is like the general thesis I was thinking about for this episode. What it made me think about Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, like, better than almost, I don't know, I'm not gonna say better than any other show, but like, it's so great at being logically consistent with like just what it's having its characters do, and like the things they have at their disposal, and like the laws going on. So okay, when I first heard about Pickle Rick, I thought they would do something like have him like hop around, be like a pickle man who could just like, I don't know, roll and do things like that. But a pickle doesn't have fucking muscles. It can't move. So like, right from the start, they establish Rick cannot move anything except his face and tongue. That's the entirety of what, like the tools in his toolbox to deal with the situations that he finds himself into. And, like, I was expecting them to fuck that up. And, like, I'd see him, like, inching like a worm or, like, wiggling around or something. But they never do that.
It was even fucking with my brain at first to, like, when he was laying there. And I was like, can't he just roll? And I'm like, well, I guess he wouldn't. Like, why would he
That's the
be able to do that,
expectation, right? That's exactly it. We watch so many of these fucking cartoons that would make us think that like a pickle can, yeah, of course it can roll. It's a pickle. Why? It's gonna roll. But like, no, he's got no fucking muscles in his body with which you contort his mass to make him roll. So like, yeah, it's exactly how it should be. It's exactly how it should be. And then, and then just because Rick is such a fucking genius, he concocts these amazing situations to give himself fucking limbs and like powers and weaponry and all the shit he needs to get through. Oh, it's the best. And like that moment where he like plugs like the brain plug into his fucking, pickle brain. That was like visceral. And I was like, yeah, that's just what you have to do. God, I love how Rick is not afraid at all to get his hands dirty and like like so many people
this
like
episode's
imagine
fucking
if you got
disgusting, man.
I know, it's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare.
It was hard to watch for me when he was in with the cockroaches and everything, like licking the thing's fucking brain. I was just like, why why do I have to look at this?
You know, just to have the appearance of fairness. The one thing that I thought was a little bit ridiculous is how he puppeted the cockroach with his tongue by touching its brain. That's the one thing that's like, all right. I mean, is there any way that would? It was awesome. Like, it was done with great effect. So I got over that quickly, and it was not a big deal.
I mean, the fact that he, like, the moment he, like, because I didn't know what he, like, I thought he was going to have it somehow, I don't know, carry him, transport. No, he bites its fucking head open. And I was just like, oh my God, fucking what brutal. Are you doing?
I just love what, like, a fucking badass Rick is. He's not like Doc Brown, who was, like, this clumsy, the character he's based on, like, clumsy weirdo science man who doesn't really get his hands dirty just because of the nature of the show. But Rick is a fucking murdering monster. He'll just he'll genocide a country if that's what it takes to do whatever.
I think I can say officially that they are trying to make Rick and Morty the most violent show of all time now. Like,
you think so?
Like, I mean, the show has always had some violence, but like you look back at season 1, like episode 1, they kill a bunch of bug men. There's some green blood here and there. Like, there's a little, there's a little violence here and there. There's moments of some violence when Rick blows up the king. But most of them are like green or blue blood. It's not a lot of humans getting eviscerated horribly. And season 2 kicked it up with the Purge Planet. That was where it was really like, I mean, season 2 is pretty fucking violent overall, but Purge Planet was like another level. But this season, every episode has just been a fucking bloodbath. Like, insane amounts of violence going on in this show now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I suspect that I think that it just kind of happens to be that way. Maybe there is an intention. Maybe they are going in that direction. But it seems to me like they perfectly make sense for the premise of each of the episodes. Right. So maybe they do just have an inclination to write more violent stories. But like, they were just doing go on.
I think Adult Swim has kind of had like a long-standing desire to have the most violent show on television. If you think back, like, they had that Korgoth the Barbarian pilot, which was just nonstop violence. Metalocalypse was really fucking violent, in spite of not even being an action show. Managed to have, like, insane violence in every episode,
Yep, and it ruled.
Most of their shows have had, like, insanely violent episodes, where they'll just be, like, blood literally everywhere. I think
There's
of, like, Aquatine Hunger Force when the fucking spider like just collecting everyone's blood.
That was the episode that made me stop watching Aquatine. I was never a big Aquatine guy at all, but that's when I'm like, this show is definitely not for me.
That's the only episode I loved of Aquatine Hunger Force, because there was so much blood. It was awesome.
I just never laughed, and then I got grossed out. So I'm like, why the fuck am I even watching this? There was no reason. Well, I mean, we haven't even touched on, like, the other half of this episode that is also legitimately great and makes, I think this is for the first time, makes Daughteru, whose name I forget, I think this is the most I've ever liked her as a character. They're really finally digging down, and we're exploring her character more. And it's good shit.
Just for the one line where she's like one of my favorite jokes in the episode from that scene anyway. Like, everything involving Rick was hilarious and awesome. Like, I was laughing constantly at everything that went on with Pickle Rick. The other scene is much more serious. It's like this actual deep-seated psychological thing going on where, like, they literally just go to a counselor and they spend the whole episode just, like, having a family meltdown, essentially, or
Yep,
mainly
yep.
Beth, who won't open up and be honest with her feelings, and they're just getting royally fucking owned by this this counselor, which I knew was
Yeah.
gonna happen. Like the whole episode, I was like, they're gonna get fucking owned by this bitch, and it happens.
Which is appropriate because like we understand all their nuances, we know what's going on, so they can't like hide that shit or
right.
Yeah, it's good.
And so that's all going on, but my favorite joke line from that is when Summer, who the whole episode we have known that she apparently huffed pottery
glaze or something. Yeah,
that's part of why they're here, because Morty pissed his pants at school and she huffed pottery, and has been assumed that this is because of their family situation. And the funniest part is that there's this reveal that it really wasn't about that at all. These were just Summer just wanted to get high, and Morty is just a fucking idiot. So that reveal was probably my favorite joke in the episode, when Summer's like, I'd like to be thought of as someone who just likes to get high.
Yeah, Summer fucking killed it with that line. That was great.
Her fucking voice acting was amazing this episode. The line when the teacher comes out of the room and she's like, none of us have ever eaten poop. Like, however she says it was just like spot on. I fucking loved it.
That was great. I will say though, I think the poop jokes just kind of fell flat for me. I got it the first time and then they just kept doing it. That was fine. I just didn't care. Yeah. Not as funny as the number of times they used it, but whatever. It wasn't a big deal. Well, I mean, let's talk about so the reason why Rick is a pickle, of course, is because he's trying to get out of this counseling thing. That's what's revealed. And so there's this plot set up. I mean, I assume everyone who's watching this has seen the episode, but nonetheless, like he's got this thing set up where he's going to like as soon as they leave, there's like a timer and it's gonna inject him with human serum, whatever. He's gonna turn back to a human. Yeah. So that's like the undercurrent going on through the episode. That's and like the Beth like takes it away from him, because it's immediately obvious what he's trying to do. And then, you know, her and the therapist and the kids are like exploring how they know that obviously is what this is. And yet Beth just can't bring herself to fucking question her father in the slightest. And I forget how that resolves. Did she challenge him at all at the end? I think she did a little bit, but then immediately gave it back to him. I honestly don't remember how that resolved.
She kind of just like... The ending of the episode, they're both clearly shook by what they've experienced at the psychological place. She the only thing she says is like, you shouldn't have lied to me. Like she almost doesn't. Like he says, I'm sorry I lied, and she's like, oh, it's okay. Well, you shouldn't have lied, but it's okay, you know. Like she barely concedes. It's really him who does the apologizing. She can't get past it, even when he can.
That's true. And it's great that like even throughout the whole at the end, like she is resistant the entire time. Beth is the one who's fighting the therapist like the entire fucking session. The kids at the end, after like the therapist does her monologue, it just lays out exactly what Beth's problems are in no uncertain terms that, you know, we basically already know. Like the kids are just like, I liked her.
Yeah.
Can we go back? That was great.
Their faces at the end of the episode was like, that hit me, man.
Yeah,
like just
the
way that the other two were trying to be so casual, and like the kids know that these two are shaken by this, and they're like trying to break through the facade. Like, hey, can we be honest? Can we go back? I kind of liked it. It was kind of enriching, and you know.
That's almost like a little bit too real right there. Because, like, every day, people out there, we all do it. We all lie to ourselves about the way that we kind of wish that we were. We trick ourselves. I'll give you a real example right now. I tell people that I go to the gym 3 times a week. I often miss Fridays because I just like get caught up doing stuff. But I still tell people that I go 3 times a week. That's me kind of lying to make myself feel better about it, even though I'm not like meeting the obligation I've set for myself. I mean, that's a small little thing, but like these people are lying about like Beth's whole life has been like destroyed, and her kids, like their lives are put in danger every moment that Rick is around, more or less, because he doesn't give a fuck, and is like the ultimate danger to the fucking universe, and especially the kids. And she just enables and enables and enables because she is personally fucked up by her abandonment issues from him as a kid. And Like, the fact that she isn't willing to deal with her issues and is just pushing them off while the kids are like, no, Mom, please, like, we should go back. You should go back. Like, this is how we all get better as people and healthier and become a better family. She's just pushing it away so she doesn't have to take responsibility or confront, like, her own issues. That's real shit, man. That is real shit. And that's why this is the best Beth has ever been. I really liked it.
Yeah, that was great. And the fucking speech that the counselor gives at the end, like, I mean, this is all it's some very real shit, you know, like, she hits him with, there are wrong and right ways this scene could be done, but it just feels very matter of fact to me that, like, she says, she's not, like, making fun of him or anything. It's not like she's this huge comeback. She just, like, lays out exactly, here's what your issues are. Like, you know, anybody in my field would know this. Like, this is not, like, me being magic rocket scientist. It's just, like, this is what psychology is. You avoid it because it's not interesting to you for the same reason that, like, normal shit's not interesting to me. But, like, it hit me in a very personal way because this is one of the most relatable problems I've heard on this show. Let me describe what I've done today. Sure. I've right before we did this podcast, I was doing another one that I had to do for Patreon, and right after this podcast, I will be doing another one that I do with Monkey Jones every week. And right before I did that other podcast, I had recorded a vlog and was working on a different one. Like I've worked on like 5 projects today. What I haven't done is clean my office, which has not that dirty, but there's a little bit of stuff around. Haven't really eaten. I should have made myself a sandwich, but it was going to take too long, so I ate 2 frozen waffles instead, and now I'm still hungry. I should have fucking paid this goddamn $350 I owe to the state of New York for a speeding ticket that I got in May, and I need to pay within the next 4 days. The reason I haven't done that is because it would require me to go to the post office, which is right up the road, but that would be not working. It would be boring. It would be normal work upkeep shit. It would just be daily life shit. And daily life shit never takes precedence in my mind over doing something interesting. The only times I go do this shit is when I don't have anything scheduled or planned. I don't have any ideas for videos. You know, like, it's the days when I'm not feeling creative that I go and I finally get the other shit done. I go and clean up the house. I go, I don't have an idea for a video, so I guess I'll, like, you know, brush my teeth. Well, that's never gonna happen, but I'll go pick up the trash, you know, like that's the day that shit gets done, because, you know, it just doesn't feel like an adventure, and I want everything to feel like an adventure. I want everything to be larger than life, never to just be like normie shit, you know, even though you need the normie shit because your mind cannot handle not being kept up. That's why you need to keep a clean space, because you feel better and you do better work. You know, if you dedicate that hour every day to fucking developing an environment that you can live in, you know, and don't have the looming stress of, oh God, will this fucking thing get to the courts in time for me to not owe the government whatever, like, interest on this shit, you know, because I've just been holding on to these envelopes. They've been sitting on my desk, like, in my line of sight for 2 weeks now. You know,
I know the feeling well. I'd been putting off getting car insurance for a while, and I finally got it, but it took me months to just get around to doing it. Even though, like, every day I didn't have it, I was at risk. You know, it's just like it's so true. That's such a relatable thing. Every fucking person in the world does this shit, and especially now that, like, I don't know, we're all consumed by, like, fantasy of like, Hollywood shit and anime and all this magical shit that we wish would happen in our lives. We just want to, like, every movie is the most interesting portion of those characters' lives, and we all want that to be happening to us all the time. And, you know, people back in the old days, like, they didn't know what they were missing, so day-to-day life, you know, maybe it wasn't so bad to them.
I think there's lots of people, it's like she says, some people can handle work and some people can't.
Right.
And I think most people, like, what we define as normies, what we insult by calling normies, are people who can work. People who, like, can do something every day because they know it's the right thing to do. They know it's how you live. They know that's, like, what's normal. And then there's people like me who are just like, I could never work. Like, I've gotten to the point right now, I don't know if I could work a normal job. Like, I don't know if that would be possible for me, because I've gotten so used to this manic lifestyle of, like, constantly making new things. And what's the phrases that Rick says? It's like, he creates...
Oh, wubba-lubba-dub-dub.
he says, like, I'm a scientist, I create, destroy,
right.
and mutate or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like, that's what's on my mind. Like, if it's not creating or making something new, then what's the point of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, obviously, you don't become a fucking psychopath who goes around putting your life at risk every day and murdering people constantly.
Yeah, he's a little bit out of whack. You know, I remember when you were first starting your Patreon, you know, years ago and shit. And I remember, you know, when you left your job and stuff, and you, even back then, you were, you know, saying the sentiment that, like, you know, you just don't feel like that's right for you. And, you know, it's that to me has been like a big strength for you personally. And that way you are like a Rick, and that you are just wired for this lifestyle. That just really seems to me, you know, when I was a kid, I used to think that, like, everyone could do anything, and if you're not, you know, like, excelling at just the shit that everyone needs to do, then you're just not trying hard enough or something. But as I've gotten older, I've really started to realize that there really are different kinds of people who are built to do different sort of things, especially as I've discovered what I'm actually good at. And, you know, and yeah, I don't know, man. She's right about that. And, you know, one other point that I really liked about just the therapist in general, I really liked how it would be so easy for a show like this to just, like, you would think that, like, a nihilist framed show, or like a show with themes of nihilism about it would like, it would be so easy for it to shit on the idea of psychology in general, exactly like Rick does, and just be like, this is total fucking bullshit, man. I decide my own destiny. You know, there's nothing controlling me. I'm in control of my own thoughts and mind and all that shit. But the show really does take a more mature stance at it. And even though, like, you know, jokes are thrown in, of course, it's a comedy fucking show with, like, the poop stuff and whatever. Like, despite all that, she is absolutely, like, a professional at her craft and has real things to offer these characters, and it's obvious, and the characters understand it and accept it in the form of Morty and Summer. Whereas our less mature people who are just pushing away their problems, the parents, those are the problem people who don't understand the real benefits that could be here. I just appreciate that feels refreshing to me, that they're not just, like, shitting on it, because I feel like I've seen that 1,000 times.
I think my favorite part of it is my favorite part of her speech and how it's framed is that, like, she keeps saying, like, you know, to Rick, like, you have this amazing level of intelligence. Like, she recognizes, like, Rick, you are smarter than me, but this is what I do, is, like, understand how people think. I know how you think. Like, the fact that you're smarter than me doesn't preclude me from, like, this specialization that I have, which is to understand how your mind works, whether I actually like understand the concepts that you do or not. Which is something I find really interesting about psychology in general, is that, like, it's in some ways an equalizer. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day. Like, how the human mind works is not something that you have a better grasp on just by having a higher IQ. Like, your IQ doesn't affect your emotions. It doesn't affect the chemistry of your brain. It's just, like, how much shit you know and can know.
And that's clearly, you know, what Rick's strengths are in, as opposed to self-awareness and other kind of shit. Yeah, man, it's good stuff. And it's funny, I just watched all of The Sopranos not too long ago, which has, I didn't even notice at the time, but, like, before I started watching it, but, like, the fact that Tony Soprano goes to a therapist, a psychiatrist, like, is a big undercurrent throughout the whole thing. And there's a lot of, like, dream analysis, and you know, he spends a lot of time talking to her and understanding his motivations for why he, like, lives this gangster lifestyle and stuff. And it was really interesting there, and it's really interesting here. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing I wanted to talk about was kind of just, like, the progression, the specific progression of, like, Rick in his journey throughout, you know, like, acquiring the materials he needed to do the shit that culminated in the gigantic action battle scene at the end, which was fucking dope. So just like the way that Rick, I feel like we've already blown our load here, but nonetheless, Like the way that Rick starts out as an immobile pickle, and then like you were said, like the cat kicks him off the table or whatever. Rain comes down, he gets flushed down the drain into the sewer. He then like lures over a cockroach with like spewing brine, so he's like using pickle special abilities in order to do that, which was dope.
The only special ability a pickle has, which I'm glad they didn't try to like stretch that, you know. Like,
yeah, me too.
There's one thing he could do, and they used it, and then
how about when he gets hurt later on, and in order to bandage his wound, he uses like mustard and hot sauce, and then staples a pickle to his wound to hold in like his pickle guts. That was fucking genius. Like just from a burger that was sitting there.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that was amazing. They just commit so
close
hard.
my pickle hole with more pickle.
It was fucking great. While like of course, you know, while he's fighting this guy Jaguar or whatever, who fucking just like burns it shut or whatever. God, it was fucking great. I don't know, like there was nothing particularly amazing about okay, well once Rick like controls these cockroaches, so he lures it over with brine, he bites his head, snaps its neck, and then starts puppeting its brain with his tongue. He then we kind of accelerate to okay, now he's just gotten to the point where he's building like some machines out of like the various limbs of cockroaches that now that he can move himself, that he can get a hold on, and he eventually makes like this battle armor that he can use to fucking chop up these rats in this like amazingly gory fucking fight. It was so dope. God, it was the best.
The fucking shit he says to the big rat was classic.
Like, I didn't even give you a name. I could have called you Scar. I call you nothing because you're nothing to me. You aren't even worthy to be my adversary. But like, even the fact that he's addressing the rats, like that rat instantly has character to us as the viewers.
Yeah.
Man, it was so good. It was so good. This was
Where the fuck was he, by the way? Like, what was this cartel place he was in? Like, I assume, because they say there's lines like this country is a prison and stuff like that.
That's right. That's right.
I'm assuming he's in Mexico in some kind of drug cartel place. Where is their house? Like, do they live in California? Like, why are they so close to the border? Because Rick says he's 5 minutes away by helicopter from his daughter. So
I guess they must be.
Are they like
just based
right
on
the border of Mexico or something?
Based on the clear like Latin influences on the characters and shit, like I guess they must be close to the Mexican border.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well shit, man, all the evidence is piling up. I guess they live close to the Mexican border.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know. Maybe there's a Mexican installation in the U.S. somewhere. I don't fucking know. Yeah, something like that. Well, that was cool. The fight I really liked. After I just want to mention like how amazing that mouse muscle exoskeleton was. God, it was so fucking sick. And I loved that like it's not like he constructed like human anatomy out of rat parts. Like he clearly still had like rat legs and rat limbs, and they didn't.
I love how you could see the tendon moving independently of the arm
of the bone. Like, yeah, I noticed that.
Straightening out, that looked really cool.
That was fucking dope. And then the subplot with Jaguar was kind of funny. It's all right. Didn't have a big payoff. Wasn't that great. The fight scene was the coolest part there. I
think I'm hoping because they brought back Jaguar for the after credits scene. That was funny. Right. I feel like maybe they were doing that so that wouldn't have to happen later. Because like Jaguar is a surviving character, so he could come back. But I don't think he's that funny or memorable that he should come back. You know.
I think that ending gag was all the payoff that character will ever need. Yeah. He could show up in like the background or like a crowd or whatever. But
he'll probably get murdered somewhere in the background of another episode.
Probably. He's really tough. He fought toe to toe against Rick and came out alive.
He fought toe to toe against Rick as a pickle with rat.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but he was rocking it. Oh man, dude, how sick was his fucking like laser gun with using like individual batteries for the fucking charges? God damn, that was awesome. Yeah. Well, all right, well that's it, man. I mean, we kind of went in a circuitous route there, but that pretty much covers the whole episode and how fucking great it was. I give this like a Pickle Rick. I'm gonna give this like a strong 9. I feel like maybe a mid to strong 9.
It's very solid. The only complaint I would have is that like the subplot that's in the psychology office is just very like, you know, it's just like one location with flat shots. You know, like it's not that interesting to look at. You know,
I hear what you're saying. I just liked that as a juxtaposition. I felt like this was intentional to like the crazy environments that Pickle Rick is going to. They made it deliberately drab to juxtapose like the insane life Rick has, especially as Pickle Rick versus them. So, you know, I thought it worked, but you know, I understand your criticism nonetheless.
Yeah, that's it. Wubba lubba dub dub. See you later.
Go fuck yourselves. Bye bye.